This happened about 5 years ago. I had just started a new job at a bank that I don't wish to name, and my trainer was a really nice guy. For whatever reason, the other person who was supposed to be joining me on the training, who had also gotten the same job as me, didn't actually turn up. So, it was just me and him. We got along really well. He was really funny, charming, seemed to really like me. He started to touch me gently from time to time, caressing my arms whenever I did something well, and I honestly enjoyed the attention, but I knew it was slightly inappropriate. Now at my job, we have this messenger system that we always use internally, and we were always chatting about non-work related stuff there. There was a time I was caught giggling in my cubicle, and I was worried my manager would start asking questions or check my IT history, as they can do that. It wasn't long before he asked me out, and I giddily accepted. It was only after we started having a romantic relationship that I realized how much of a creep he was. He was into BDSM pretty hardcore, stuff I have no interest in. And on our very first date, he was very explicit in telling me how he liked this kind of stuff and really wanted to try them out on me. Yeah, it was not the very best thing to say on a first date, as it was an instant turnoff. Especially when he told me that when he was younger, he liked hurting animals. He said he loved taking his father's shotgun and loved to shoot bunnies. He made it a point to say that he loves to shoot them, especially the bunny ones, because they're slower. Yeah, after that, our date didn't last very long. I faked that my crab was not that good and made my stomach upset, and I got a taxi home. When I went to the office the next day, I tried my level best to seize all conversation with him. I made a lame excuse that my manager was tracking my internet activities, and thus I have to act more professionally. He wasn't really happy with that, and that is when the stalking started. He started following me to the bathroom to try to talk to me. He would take his breaks at the same time as me, try to sit at the same table. When I was running errands around town, he would come and follow to talk to me on the way. I was getting really uncomfortable, and it was not pleasant at all. To cut the long story short, I ended up telling my manager everything, and the next day, when I got to work, he wasn't there. Turns out that I wasn't the only girl he had done this to, and the manager at the office was fed up. He was fired, and I'm really glad that I don't have to see him anymore. I hope I don't have to ever again.
I worked for a title company. It required me to travel to people's homes and execute loan transfers from one bank to another. Most of the time, the homes were within a 50-mile radius of the office, but sometimes I was required to travel further. It was not an exciting or over-the-top work, but it paid well, and it was relatively easy to do so. I had no problem with it. But this one time, I met someone or something I quite can't comprehend. I am a completely sane individual, and I like to think that I have a good grip on reality and that I can rationalize things as they came to me. This closing, I was driving to Western Ohio, maybe miles from the Indiana border, and it was in the middle of nowhere. This happened over 10 years ago, before the innovations like smartphones and Google Maps were a thing of reality. This was a time where I needed a printed direction from MapQuest. In my case, the MapQuest did not give me the exact location, but a general location where the home was located. This was generally how MapQuest worked. but I had a simple procedure for this. In a situation like this, I would get close as possible and then stop at a gas station and ask for directions and then continue. However, this time I couldn't find a gas station or market, library, nothing. Not a single sign to give me any general direction. This was during the middle of the day, midsummer, and I was in no rush, so I took my time going through this hilly valley, a beautiful part of Ohio, looking for a certain intersection. I made a handful of passes through this town and looked around for anyone, or any gas station, or anything, but no luck, and I had to make a turn. When I was returning, I spotted an old bearded man, sitting on a rock at the side of the road, minding his own business. It was just him and I who were on the road. I pulled over and brought my window down and asked for help. He smiled, never getting up from the rock like he was resting. He looked me in the eye and gave me instructions and pointed where to go with his cane, except he spoke to me in a language that I couldn't place. It was not Spanish, German, French, or any Slavic languages, and it certainly was not English. It was just like tongues. I just nodded and thanked, pretending as I understood. I eventually reached the next town and found my way. I was not spooked. It may have felt a little weird, but later, at the closing, when I shared this whole story about the old man with a strange language with the client, I was told that I possibly met this elusive figure that has been thought to reside in the surrounding area. He's known to wave at people and then disappear, but no one has ever spoken to him before me. How lucky am I?
I used to work in a Pizza Hut when I was in high school. I have a bunch of weird stories from working there, but this one, oh, it scared me the most. My Pizza Hut was the kind where you can only pick up the food, and there was a wall between the storefront and the kitchen of the store. So if you were in the front, you were pretty much on your own. The store itself is located at an out-of-way dead shopping center. And oh, this was Atlantic City. This should tell you a lot about our clients. For some reason, I always got stuck on the late shift despite being in high school. So, for most weekdays, it would be just me and one other cook in the store, past 10 p.m., twiddling our thumbs. I would hang out at the front, and the cook would wait in the kitchen, out of earshot. One night, I was hanging behind the counter, and I see a guy walk past. Didn't think much of it, and went back to doing nothing, waiting for my shift to end. Then the door of the shop opens, and it's the same guy that walked by. He is tall, but is thin like a skeleton, and there was something not right about his eyes. But despite him putting me on edge, I get up, greet him, and ask him what he would like to order. Nothing. He just stands in front of me, staring at the ceiling, muttering to himself. I was only 17, and for the most part a good kid despite living in Atlantic City, so I didn't know what to make of it. Now, I would probably chalk it up to drugs. Anyways, he is standing there making up impressions and muttering in what looks like tongues. Then he abruptly spins around and walks out of the store without even acknowledging that I exist. At this point, I am unnerved, but I shake it off and sit down. My shift was about to end, and I was counting down the minutes when I realized that somebody had walked in. I look up, and it's the same guy with the same creepy eyes, only this time he is holding a phone to his ear and muttering intelligibly. I realize that he is not talking to anyone, and he was staring at me super intensely. At this point, I am getting frightened. He just keeps looking at me, and so I ask if I can help him. He starts walking towards the counter, still looking at me. Then he suddenly asked in a perfectly normal voice if his order was ready. And I was going, what the fuck? At this time, and I'm not sure how to answer, so I go with the truth and told him honestly that he did not order anything when he was in the first time. He gets this bugged-eye look and lunges at the counter, and I jump back. My heart was pounding at this point. This guy is not sane, and he is going to pull out a knife and stab me. Then just as absurdly, he lunged. He yelled, "God damn it!" and looked as if he was going to cry. He puts his head in his hands and starts pulling at his hair. I started feeling bad for this guy, ask politely and nicely if he maybe wants to order something now, and his head just snaps back up and his expression is completely blank. He looks deranged. I am holding still because I am afraid that moving will set him off. Then, thankfully, the door to the store opens and a huge man walks in. He looks at the guy, kind of confused, and realizes that something was not right with him. The crazy guy looks at him and looks at me and starts backing up until he's out of the door. He starts walking to the edge of the storefront, looking at me the whole time, and then goes past the edge of the door, and now he's gone. The other guy looked at me and asked, "What the hell was that?" And I just said that I had no idea at all and thought the guy was crazy. I tried to shake it off, but I was totally on edge for the rest of my shift. When I clocked out that night, I made one of the drivers walk out with me. Then I jumped into my car and got the hell out of there. I never saw that dude again, but it was a really strange and unnerving experience. I don't know what he would have done if that guy had not walked in when he did.
We finally moved into our house, and everything was really quiet for the first 6 months or so. Our new neighbors told us that the previous owners moved after their son died in a motorcycle accident. After the first 6 months of peacefully living out in our new house, my dad died, but not in the house. And after that, stuff started to happen. I often had my friends sleep over, and during one such sleepover, my friend woke me up in the middle of the night and told me that she saw a young guy standing in the middle of the bathroom. So I went and checked it out, but there was nothing. Over the last few years, all of my friends that slept over at my place said that they saw a small, poor blonde guy walking about the house. We had a few other things that happened, like a wine glass that was on the counter broke without anyone touching it. It just shattered on the counter. Another time, during the winter, we had the heater on, and my room was always the warmest in the house, and it became ice cold as you walked across my bedroom to the bathroom that was connected. The creepiest thing that happened was when my boyfriend was sleeping on the couch. In the middle of the night, he woke up to a young guy pushing him off onto the floor. He said that the guy did not say or do anything, but at the time, my boyfriend knew that he had to leave, and he did. He wouldn't stay at my place after that incident either. Just to go into further detail about the glass, my mom had a huge collection of glassware of all types and sizes. The collection was so huge that there was no more space left to keep them anymore, so we just set them on the counter. The wine glass had been sitting there for a long time though. It hadn't just come out of the dishwasher or anything like that. She placed it on the counter and there it stayed. And when it broke, no one was there. No one but me and my mom was in the house when it broke, and we were both at least 10 feet away from the glass. Could it have been a crack in the glass or any other rational reason for it to break like that? Maybe, but we were too startled at the time and thought it was really bizarre. This happened during our summer vacation when my sister and I were home alone, as our parents had gone out of town because of some business or some other work. They told us they would return in 2 days. My sister was in her room and I was playing a video game, but I wasn't playing very well because I had just bought it from a friend. I totally didn't understand how to play it and was losing the game again and again. So, in a fit of rage, I threw the remote. How does Bella play this game? What happened, Amelia? Why are you making so much noise? I was so lost in anger that I didn't even notice that my sister was standing right behind me. "Sorry, sis, did I wake you up?" No, I was studying, but the noise made me come out. What happened?" "Oh, sis, I was getting bored, so I thought of playing this stupid game, but I'm just not good at it." Well, I know of an interesting game. Let's play that." "Really? Wow, which game?" "Why don't you come upstairs with me? Then I will tell you." "Okay." So I followed my sister upstairs. My sister took me directly to the bathroom, but I didn't understand what kind of game we could play in the bathroom. "Sis, what kind of game can we play in here?" "Trust me, we just need 2 candles." "Candles are in the bathroom cabinet." "Bring them and put them in front of the mirror." It felt really strange in a mysterious and frightening way, which made me think for a moment if I wanted to play this game. But I trusted my sister, so I unwillingly agreed to play and lit the candles. "Okay, now what?" "Now I will switch off the lights." "Switch off the lights? But why?" At this point, my sister started explaining the game we were playing. But the way she was looking at me was like it wasn't really my sister. She was like some soulless body. Bloody Mary. "Bloody Mary? Sis, why? You know I'm really afraid of these things." "Nothing will happen. I'm standing right behind you." Now, I didn't want to continue with the game, and I was really scared. But I also didn't want to run away because I was afraid that my sister would make fun of me. On the other hand, I knew my sister didn't really believe in this sort of stuff. "Okay, what do I have to do?" "Now I will switch off the lights. Then you have to look in the mirror and say, 'Bloody Mary,' 3 times." "Okay, I'm ready." However, I wasn't ready at all. I was praying that my sister would say it was all a joke and we could get out of here. But nothing like that happened, and she switched off the lights. I was really scared in the dark, but I didn't tell her that. While looking in the mirror, I started. "Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary. Bloody Mary." After saying it 3 times, I told my sister to switch the lights on. But I got no reply. I asked her again, "Sis, please turn on the lights now. The game is over." Then, all of a sudden, I felt someone's hand on my shoulder, which prompted me to look up in the mirror. And what I saw in that mirror wasn't my sister. And when I turned around, there was no one behind me. This scared me so much that I froze in place. I wanted to scream, but I wasn't able to do so. I was sensing some unknown presence in there. I don't even remember, but somehow I got out of there and I went into my sister's room and that's where I saw my sister still sleeping. "Sis, wake up! Sis!" "What happened, Amelia? Is everything all right? And why are you screaming?" Sis, how long have you been in here sleeping? I don't know. For some time, maybe? Why? What happened? So, you didn't take me to play the game of Bloody Mary? Bloody Mary? Why would I take you? You know I don't believe in those things, and I was sleeping. But what happened, Amelia? I told my sister everything. I didn't know who took me to the bathroom to play Bloody Mary, and I know what I really saw in there, but my sister did not believe me. She even checked the whole house and could not find anyone there. And nothing like this has ever happened again that would give evidence of Bloody Mary's existence. But I know what I told my sister was the truth. So friends, this story ends here. Tell us in the comments section if you liked the story. And do subscribe by clicking the red button below. You should also click the bell icon so that you get a notification on our next video. Okay, friends, we will meet again with another scary story. Till then, bye.